Well, Hugh, these days it seems that the only time Mike Tyson's name is in the news is when it's linked to something sensational. We've read of his antics, the reports of his erratic behavior, rumors that he beats his glamorous wife, actress Robin Givens. And if that weren't enough, there's the question of whether he's a pawn of his wife and mother-in-law and or his manager.
Me and my wife, we had the opportunity to be one of the first big families, entrepreneurs, just to be unbelievably powerful. And the media never really gave the marriage a chance, And my wife didn't do the proper things and the right thing. It's something I don't blame her, but she let herself get too involved emotionally with, I think, with the media.
It was the fall of 1986, a pivotal time for Mike Tyson. Already boxing's fastest rising star, Tyson was spending a rare night away from the gym. Restless, he settled in to watch television and happened upon Soul Train, where actors from a new sitcom were being introduced. Among them was Robin Givens, a poised, young actress who stood out immediately. At 21, Givens had begun to draw her own attention for her role on Head of the Class. Struck by her confidence and allure, Tyson made quick plans to meet her. Unable to connect directly, he reached out through a friend, who contacted Robin's agent. On the other side, Robin's mother, Ruth, protective and ever-present, chose not to share Tyson's persistent calls with her daughter at first. Eventually, though, Ruth told Robin about the heavyweight contender seeking an introduction, setting events in motion. In her 2007 memoir, Grace Will Lead Me Home, Robin reflected, "My mother always had a way of smelling trouble. The distinctive odor of trouble was one she could sniff out from miles away. I guess she sensed trouble in Michael long before she'd even spoken to him. My mother had a certain kind of man in mind for me, one that fit the image of what she thought my life should be. But I'd already decided that the man I chose would be absolutely nothing like my mother's Mr. Right. Robin, this boxer is not your type," she said. "That's not for you to decide," I responded. "Everything is so nice in your life right now," she said. "Why risk messing it up? This young man smells like trouble to me." "Mom, you can't control my life, no matter how right you think you are, or how wrong you think someone or something is for me," I said. "Please give him my number the next time he calls. I would love to meet him." Though Tyson eventually obtained Robin's number, both were preoccupied with their demanding careers. Robin was immersed in filming Head of the Class, while Tyson closed in on boxing history, claiming the heavyweight championship in November 1986. Despite mutual curiosity, their interactions at first were confined to brief calls and missed connections. It wasn't until January 1987 that they finally agreed to meet at La Dome, an upscale restaurant in Los Angeles. Robin arrived first, accompanied by her mother and sister, a protective gesture reflecting her family's deep involvement in her personal life. Tyson arrived late, a detail both would later frame differently. Robin recalled his indecision about what to wear, while Tyson would admit the delay was a deliberate exercise in ego and showmanship. Nevertheless, any initial awkwardness soon gave way to conversation that felt unexpectedly genuine, marked by honest discussion of their very different upbringings and aspirations. Beneath the public personas were two young people seeking understanding and connection. Robin writes, "Michael turned out to be effortless to talk to, and even easier to listen to. We talked about New York and about our careers. Our focus, our drive, and our commitment, even as children, seemed to give us an immediate sense of connection. It was simple and easy, and though my mother refused to really participate, I think she was surprised by how comfortable we all felt in his presence." As the evening at La Dome unfolded, Tyson revealed a warmth and attentiveness that stood in contrast to his fearsome public image. Robin found herself at ease, the conversation quickly shifting from surface small talk to candid reflections about ambition, loss, and family. When her family excused themselves later in the evening, Robin chose to extend the night, continuing on with Tyson to a comedy show at the Improv. It was, by her own admission, an uncharacteristically spontaneous decision, perhaps a sign of the spark between them. The next morning, that feeling persisted. On a whim, Robin invited Tyson to join her for breakfast, a simple gesture that felt, given her usual reserve, decidedly bold. For both, there was an early indication that this relationship would not obey the usual scripts or expectations. What followed was an intense courtship. Within weeks, Robin and Tyson had exchanged declarations of love. Outsiders often remarked on how unlikely their pairing seemed. Tyson, shaped by the volatility of Brooklyn, and Robin, raised in the comfort and stability of Westchester. Yet, it was precisely their differences and a shared vulnerability, each having grown up without a father, that drew them closer.
They seemed an unlikely couple, and I asked what they had in common.
Our honesty, our sense of tradition. I loved his sense of humor. He was persistent. He was, for the first time, he came to claim me, and I like that. Now it's family. That's very important to us. And I think we both have our feet on the ground. That's important to me.
I think she liked me more than I liked her when it first started.
Really?
That's not true.
Yes, it was. I think so. She always said I didn't like him because he was a fighter. But I really believe that she liked me more than I liked her.
What did you want from Robin?
When I first met her?
Yeah.
She was just another girl.
On television.
She's just another girl. I said in my mind, she's just another girl.
And then?
And just, I don't know. No one really, we were real tired one night, right? I think it was our second date, right? And I fell asleep on her leg, right? And I drooled on her leg.
You drooled on her leg?
I drooled on her leg, right? And I was so embarrassed. And she thought it was cute.
It was adorable.
And she said, wow, that's so adorable, right? She was so happy she couldn't wait to go home and tell her mother and the sister, he drooled on my leg. And I'm going home and I'm like so paranoid about, oh man, do you believe I did that? Telling my friends and everything. And at that point, I said, God, there's something wrong with this girl. Because I'm used to, if girl drooled on my leg, girl say, yeah, that's, oh my God, I need to do that or something. And you're out of the picture right away. And then after that, I said, wow, this girl has something on the ball.
I think people wonder why we're together.
You are a college graduate, right? Well-educated, actress. This is a man who was a high school dropout, who went to reform school. You're very different, at least on the surface. Why do you love him?
Because he's smart, because he's gentle. He's got this incredibly gentle side, because Michael loves me more than anything in the world.
As Tyson and Robin's bond deepened, Robin's mother Ruth grew troubled by the relationship's speed and intensity. Cautioning Robin to slow down, Ruth worried about her daughter's growing independence and Tyson's unpredictability. Tension at home reached a breaking point when, after a night out with Tyson, Robin returned to find her belongings packed and the deadbolt locked. Her mother had put her out. This decision fractured the family's unity and cast Robin more fully into Tyson's orbit. In Robin's recounting, Tyson's response was immediate and forceful. Insisting she leave with him, Tyson forced her into his car, and when they arrived at his apartment, dragged her by the ankles out of the vehicle, an act Robin would later characterize as akin to kidnapping. Once inside, Robin described Tyson's violence for the first time, an incident that would leave a lasting mark on their relationship. She writes, "As the door closed behind him, I began to realize how truly alone I was. I didn't move, didn't make a sound, but inside I was screaming and struggling against the darkness that surrounded me." Michael walked past me into the living room without a word. He stood with his back to me, still not speaking. I forced myself to speak quietly and calmly. "Michael, listen to me. Please, listen to me. I have to go." Silence. I began to walk toward him. "Michael, are you listening to me? I have to." I never finished my sentence. Michael turned and his face was completely blank. No anger, no sorrow, nothing. But the fist flying toward me was full of rage. That massive fist, the fist that had knocked out so many men, landed on my left temple. I felt no pain. That came later. Just raw disbelief as I flew into one wall and bounced across into the adjoining one. As I crumpled to the floor, I looked up at Michael's face. It was blank, even peaceful, and I wondered how I had come to this place.
I remember the impact. I remember the turn and the hook. He hit me on the side of the head. And I went from one corner of the wall, bounced off that corner of the wall to another corner, and then I was out. I didn't think he would do that. I was shocked. I went from being completely numb to completely embarrassed. I remember thinking, wow, he must really love me. I remember feeling that. Not thinking it, feeling it.
Following the alleged incident, Robin, physically and emotionally shaken, sought refuge with a friend and confided only partial truths about the incident. Returning home at her mother's insistence, she found herself navigating both familial expectation and Tyson's unceasing apologetic overtures. He called repeatedly, assuring her the violence would never recur, and offering expensive gifts alongside pleas for forgiveness. Robin accepted reconciliation, interpreting Tyson's contrition as both guilt and affection. For a time at least, the couple settled into a new, uneasy routine, all the while pursued by public scrutiny and private confusion. In her book, Robin reflected, "For as long as I could remember, I had longed for a man's love. Certainly, I had dreamed of having my father's love bestowed upon me. Somehow, when I lifted Michael's face from my lap and wiped his tears away, to me this felt like love, and certainly it satisfied my longing. This felt like everything I had ever wanted, and so I told myself, this must be love. This must be what it feels like to be loved by a man, to love and to be loved." The hurt was so powerful, so strong, so deep. I knew that this just had to be it, a man's love. I looked deep into his eyes, convinced now that his deep love for me had caused him to do such a horrible thing.
It's very difficult to explain to someone. As soon as you go back, as soon as somebody hits you, I was hit for the first time before I was married. And I did, before I was married. And I did what you thought you should do. Of course, you don't take any phone calls, 3 days, absolutely not, absolutely not. And all of a sudden you start taking the phone calls.
Softening up.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, okay, let's meet and we'll talk. And then you meet and all of a sudden this person, this man that you love that's claiming his love for you is crying. And then you're consoling them, and it just becomes, I'll never, ever, ever, ever do it again. It'll never happen. I just love you so much. It's so hard for me to handle how much I love you. And it just begins.
And then, so that happened before you were married. And then did it happen more than once before you were married?
No, only once before I was married.
So you believed him.
Oh, I believed him.
And it must have touched you a little bit too. Like, here's this big heavyweight champion crying and...
Yeah, I grew up without my father. I really took time to examine me and my choices and how I was in that situation. And this might sound very strange, Joy. It's difficult for me to even say, but to see a man crying like that and promising and professing his love, I thought, well, he must love me. This must be love. I know that's difficult, but when
you say that to me now, and you think back on it, what do you think? What were you thinking? What's the reality of that statement, that it must be love?
Well, the reality is that for me, is that I didn't have a model of what a good, healthy relationship looked like. Mm-hmm. I was actually the third generation in my family to experience domestic violence.
Were you hit as a child?
No, I was never hit. No. Which is so interesting because I ended up marrying, certainly my mother tried to create a safe, my household was wonderful, but I married a man like my father. And that's why in the opening, when you said the secret, the dirty little secret, you don't know how right that is. It's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. I'll talk about it anywhere, I'll write about it, talk to any woman, because it is in the darkness that it grows. As soon as you start talking about it, and a woman says, oh, you too, or me too, you just feel a little bit lighter.
Tell me quickly, how was he like your father?
Well, in the terms of the hitting, my mother had experienced that with my father, and certainly I experienced. I mean, my mother would say that she would play dead, you know.
She would play dead.
Despite the alleged domestic violence and instability, by the summer of 1987, Robin and Tyson's lives were more intertwined than ever. Juggling the demands of Robin's acting career and Tyson's championship schedule, the pair moved between cities, trying to build a shared life amid mounting pressures. That August, Tyson unified the 3 major heavyweight titles, a professional triumph shadowed by anxiety within his camp over Robin and Ruth's growing influence. In early 1988, news of a potential pregnancy reached Tyson's manager, raising concerns about his endorsement contracts and public image. In his 1989 book, Fire and Fear, Jose Torres writes about the conversation he had with Tyson's manager concerning this news. Quote, Jim Jacobs had reached me by the telephone. I must talk to you, he said, and see what we can do about 2 very important and serious matters concerning Mike. I detected a sense of urgency in his voice. We met at his office that afternoon. He said Mike had a problem that must be attended to promptly. Ruth Roper says, well, who's that? I cut in. Ruth Roper is the mother of Robin Givens, Mike's girlfriend. This cannot, repeat, this cannot get out of this room, Jose. I can't emphasize it more. What I'm about to tell you should remain right here. I just want your honest, objective opinion. After a brief pause, he said, Miss Roper tells me her daughter is 3.5 months pregnant by Mike. She says we must take appropriate action or else. Is he willing to marry? What do you think? Jacobs asked, probing my eyes for more than an answer. I think he should. Cuss would have loved her. With rumors swirling and management focused on mitigating damage, Robin and Tyson quietly married in a religious ceremony on February 7, 1988, sidestepping both media attention and internal dissent. In Tyson's recounting, when Ruth found out about the secret wedding, she demanded that it be made legal immediately and threatened to arrange it herself if they delayed. Mike Tyson and Robin Givens were legally married on February 9, 1988. In his 2013 book, Undisputed Truth, Tyson reflects on the events leading up to the marriage, his state of mind at the time, and how, looking back, he believes he was set up by Robin and her mother into marrying Robin. Quote, I was just a miserable person. I had everything I wanted, but I wasn't happy within myself. So in this state of despair, I did the last thing I should have done. I got married to Robin because she was pregnant, and I was thrilled to become a father. I didn't know it at the time, of course, but it was BS. Robin was never pregnant. Everything about these 2 women was fugazi. I didn't know that Robin and her mother Ruth had been on the prowl for a big black celebrity for Robin since she graduated from college. It struck me that her mother was a prolific stage mom, investing in her daughter so that she could be, or at least marry, somebody big. They somehow finagled their way onto Cosby's show, and then wormed their way into staying at his house in LA. They had nothing until I came on the scene. They were 2 broke charlatans. They didn't own anything. They were just one big illusion. That's what Robin and her mother were. Con artists, borderline prostitutes. I tried to do the honorable thing. As soon as we got married, Ruth started talking about finding a suitable mansion for the 3 of us to live in. Robin had always told me that she and her mother came as a package, but there was always something really strange about her relationship with her mother. It was too bizarre for even the Freud people to contemplate.
There was no prenuptial agreement.
No, and why should there be? There's a certain sense of idealism that comes with being young that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. We got married to be together forever, not to plan for divorce.
What do you think about what Robin's saying?
She's totally true. And about a prenuptial agreement, I wouldn't know how to go about to ask her to sign it. If you're going to marry somebody, you trust them, and that's what marriage is all about, is being together for the rest of your life. For this stage of my life, I do have many millions. My wife would just have to ask for it, and she has every penny I have. If she wants to right now, she can leave right now. Take everything I have and just leave. She has the right to do that. She has the power to do that. She's still here. She tolerates my shit. And I love my wife.
In the months following the wedding, Robin became a more active presence in Tyson's business affairs, frequently accompanied by her mother. To Tyson's longtime managers, this suggested an attempt to gain control over his professional life, while Robin and Ruth maintained their involvement was simply meant to protect him. The dynamic grew tense as both Jim Jacobs and Bill Caton, Tyson's business managers, fell ill. Requests came from Robin's team to review financial records. Friction mounted as Robin pushed for changes to Tyson's contracts. After Jacobs died suddenly, efforts to assert authority over Tyson's finances accelerated, including alleged attempts to withdraw substantial sums and secure legal power of attorney. Jacobs' death marked a turning point in Tyson's life. With his inner circle weakened and competing influences vying for his trust, Tyson's sense of security diminished. Into this void stepped promoter Don King, promising steadfast loyalty while further isolating Tyson from his previous allies and support systems. In his book, Tyson recalls his vulnerability during this period. Quote, "Jimmy was like a brother, so you can imagine how my grief was compounded when I found out that Jimmy had been suffering from leukemia for over 9 years and had hidden his condition from me. While I was attending the funeral, Robin and her mother were making a scene at the Merrill Lynch office in New York that handled my finances. 'Give me my money,' they demanded. When my account executive refused, Robin called him a mother effer. They wanted to withdraw $5 million cash to buy us a mansion in New Jersey that Robin's mother had picked out. Before I flew out for the funeral, they had me sign a paper giving Robin power of attorney over me so she could withdraw the money. The morning of the funeral, Robin called me from the Lynch offices and put the executive on the phone. He explained that my money was in short-term investments, triple tax-free, that were coming due on April 14th. The interest from those would have paid most of my 1988 tax bill, so that's why he didn't want to pull the money out. I listened and then told him to give them the money.
But Robin Givens says her husband is receiving unfair pressures from the press and a number of unflattering articles, such as one in Sports Illustrated. And we welcome you back to Live at 5, Robin. The Sports Illustrated article and some of the others, the tone is that suggests that you and your mother are opportunists and that you are meddling too much in Mike's career.
Right. That's absurd. First of all, Michael's wife. And not only that, but we're family. I mean, my mother has become Michael's mother. An incident happened and we noticed a discrepancy with Michael's money. That's what sort of opened up everything. Michael is clearly, I heard a reporter once say that he's sort of a puppet and people are sort of pulling at him. Michael has orchestrated everything. He's clearly going to enjoy business and he wants to know what he has. And he has every right to know. If Michael has $50 million and he's supposed to have $70 million, there's a problem. And that's what we're finding out. There's so much money involved, and for some reason they consider us such a threat. So basically all we are is family. And if you've got nothing to hide, if nothing's wrong, then what's the problem? Why go out and hire Thomas Puccio, who is a lawyer for Abscam? If there's no problem, then what's the problem? And I'm angry. I mean, I'll tell you clearly, I'm angry.
Has anybody from Tyson's camp called you and asked you to back off, to not involve yourself, such as Rooney, Caton, these people?
Oh, definitely. Well, Caton hasn't called. He's called the house a number of times. He suggested to Michael that I should back off. I could tell you that a person very close to us, he offered him money, $50,000, to help us get a divorce. He said he'd stop at nothing less than our getting a divorce. This is like something out of Dynasty. So really, it's just setting up smoke screens for the issue. The issue is Michael wants to know about every cent he has and has every right to know because it's Michael's money.
Well, who at this point does Michael want representing him? Does he want Bill Caton as his manager?
I think, let me tell you something. I think Jim Jacobs, his manager, passed away. That's who Michael had a relationship with. That's who Customato had a relationship with.
He has a contract with Caton.
Yes, he has a contract with Caton. I believe he'd like to have a relationship with Caton, but a man that is going to hurt your family,
I don't know how it's possible. I think that Caton underestimates two things. He underestimates our relationship, Michael and I, the fact that we really do love each other. It's a solid relationship. And he underestimates Michael's intelligence. This is an intelligent man who has been forced to become even more of a man due to the circumstances.
Despite Robin's assurance that she and Tyson's marriage was solid, the truth was quite the opposite. Behind closed doors, trust had completely eroded, replaced by chaos and suspicion. When Robin discovered evidence of Tyson's infidelity, a heated confrontation erupted, driving Robin to flee in Tyson's car, only to crash it moments later. As news of the incident broke, the media pounced, turning their unraveling marriage into front-page spectacle, and soon began probing into Robin and Ruth's backgrounds, fueling even more rumors about their actions and motivations. Torres writes, "After that accident, the media zeroed in on Tyson, his wife, and his mother-in-law in a take-no-prisoners fashion. Of Robin, who finished high school at age 15 and enrolled at Sarah Lawrence College, the New York Daily News claimed, her resume reads like it's too good to be true, and it isn't true. It says," continued the newspaper, "she was accepted at Harvard Medical School, and Givens has told various interviewers she completed up to 3 years there. But the registrar's office says she never even applied. Her resume also says she began studying at the American Academy in New York at age 10. But the director of the Academy's Saturday school says Givens attended only 5 classes and dropped out. The resume also says that she was one of the top young models with the Ford agency, but Eileen Ford said Givens never worked there." The same Daily News also reported that New York Yankee slugger Dave Winfield and Ruth Roper had at one time been romantically involved. The paper said that apparently led to the most notorious litigation surrounding Roper. The suit, settled privately, in which Roper alleged Winfield had given her a sexually transmitted disease.
Mrs. Roper, you're a strong woman. There are a lot of people who think you're running the show, that you're running Mike Tyson. What do you say to them?
Barbara, I feel as though I describe myself as a mother because it's the thing that's most important to me. And I think in many respects I've become a surrogate mother to Michael. So I don't feel that I'm running the show at all. I feel that he has come to rely on me to a great degree, to trust me, which is very difficult for Michael to do, and to really love me, and I love him.
You don't handle his money?
No, he handles his money.
Do you?
Along with advisors. He's got advisors. He's got an accountant. I don't.
You don't. It's been said that you give him spending money. Do you give him spending money?
Oh, no.
If you were older, fat, unattractive, do you think you would have gotten the kind of ridicule?
Probably not. Maybe it's difficult to look at me and feel about me as a mother, especially his mother, because he's a big guy and he looks maybe a little older than he is. He's just 22 years old, so he's about the same age as my youngest daughter. Initially, I think it was difficult, Barbara, to understand that I felt about him as a son or that I loved him that much, but I think I've proven that. I think anybody who knows me knows that. But I do think the relationship is intimidating to people who earn a living through Michael or
like Bill Caton?
Yeah, like Bill Caton, to be very direct. Yes, like Bill Caton.
Michael's become so angry and really just hurt. He loves me and he loves my mother, and he sees the pain that we've been going through. We've kept quiet for so long, while I believe his manager, Bill Caton, has clearly fed the press. He's hired a private detective that comes to our building, asks doorman questions about us. He asks questions about Michael. That's ridiculous. We now found out, we talked to the police commissioner, deputy police commissioner. She said that we should get security. My mother's now walking around with security. People have no idea what's going on. And I believe that the press has become a victim. That's what I believe. In what way? Because I think that they have been fed things. I think that they're beginning to even find it ridiculous. A member of the press said that Caton said that my mother was dating Don King. Please write that Ruth Roper was dating Don King. I mean, that's absurd. Anything to try to discredit us. Where does Don King fit into all of this? Don King wants to be Michael's promoter, which he has been in the past. He wants that position firm. Kate wants to get rid of him, I believe, he believes, and he wants that position firm. But Sue, I'm here, I didn't plan to be here today because I'm angry, because my mother, who's been the best mother, and clearly become Michael's mother, and if you can just see their relationship, it's a beautiful relationship, is really being crushed by all this. Historically, the boxing world has had a reputation of being hostile to women. That's right. How much of this do you think plays into this? I mean, is it a personal thing against Robin, or is it just women in general? I think it's women. I think they're saying you have some nerve. I think that they think I should be happy for just being Mrs. Tyson. I think people underestimate Michael. He is clearly the one orchestrating this. He wants to know about the business.
As 1988 unfolded, tensions between all parties became impossible to contain. With rumors swirling about Robin and Ruth's influence over Tyson, and whispers about Tyson's temper beginning to circulate in the press, the mounting pressure threatened to boil over. Amid this turmoil, Robin reportedly suffered a miscarriage after allegedly conceiving following their nuptials. It's important to note that Tyson has openly questioned whether Robin had ever been pregnant, insisting that she'd shown no signs of pregnancy. According to Robin, the alleged miscarriage caused irreversible damage to their already fragile relationship. She recalled Tyson's temper and jealousy intensifying as she tried to refocus on her career, a descent she would later detail in her memoir through accounts of alleged abuse. Quote, "I decided that the best way to assure Michael that nothing was going on between me and anyone on the set was to include him in what we were doing. I went to the director of Women of Brewster Place and asked if Michael could do something in the movie, and she was kind enough to find a part for him. But one night, when we were shooting a very important scene, Michael showed up, drunk. In my trailer, he grabbed me by my braids and pulled me close to him. He grabbed me by my throat and threw me against the divider. He slapped me over and over again. He picked me up by my throat till my feet were dangling in the air, and then threw me into the divider again. All the wind was knocked out of me. We finished in the wee hours of the morning. I went home and found Michael sprawled out in the bed sleeping. I packed a small bag and drove myself to the airport and flew home to New York."
It's been said that you've hit your wife.
No.
Never hit her?
Not true. Like I said, me and my wife had arguments. I never hit my wife. I grabbed my wife and hold my wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I shake my wife up, but I never totally struck my wife, beat her up. No.
People think you're violent.
Not at all violent. You know, at times, you know what I mean? I raise hell, of course, yeah. You know what I mean? And I like to raise hell, you know what I mean? Because that's basically my nature, you know what I mean? Come from my background and thing, but, I mean, I'm not a violent guy. I would never want to hurt anyone. And definitely not the stories, you know what I mean, you hear. But like I say, you know what I mean? With that slight illness, I do things normally that I would never just do, you know what I mean?
Like what?
I mean, like raise my voice and just scream.
While Tyson's private turmoil escalated further, his professional achievements remained extraordinary. In June 1988, he knocked out Michael Spinks in just over a minute, cementing his legacy as boxing's undisputed champion. Yet, almost immediately, his world outside the ring unraveled. He parted ways with longtime trainers and managers, launched lawsuits, and drew closer to Don King and a new advisory circle. As Team Tyson was coming undone, Robin described a deteriorating marriage marked by Tyson's drinking, insomnia, and growing aggression. After several alleged manic episodes, Tyson eventually saw a psychiatrist who diagnosed him as manic depressive and prescribed lithium and thorazine to control his alleged mood swings. But in September, in the wee hours of the morning, Tyson crashed his car into a tree, fueling media speculation about a possible attempt to end his life. Torres writes, "Speculation about what really happened ran rampant after the dramatic front-page headlines in the Daily News that depicted the accident as an attempted suicide. What no one could figure out was where the columnist who'd written the story had obtained his information. Who was it who told him that, just before Tyson walked out of the house, he told his wife over the telephone, I'm going to go out and kill myself. I'm going to crash my car. Who told the reporter that the champ had bought 2 shotguns just before the accident, and that when the guns arrived, he said to his wife, "I'll kill you and then me"? Who told him that the first words uttered by Tyson when he saw his wife at the Hudson Hospital were, "I told you I'd do it, and as soon as I get out of here, I'll do it again"? Most eyes turned to Robin and Roper as the 2 people most likely to benefit from the story, which also went into detail about their arguments and battles with Tyson.
Robin, there was the incident last month when Mike drove his car into a tree. Tell us what happened.
Michael had no intention of killing himself. None whatsoever. And we hadn't been fighting. I was just trying for the first time to be strong. And I think what happens sometimes, I think for the first time I can understand abused women, because what happens is, or people, you say, why do you stay in there? Well, number one, you love the person, and number two, you get accustomed to being treated poorly. So every day, behavior that you would normally not accept becomes everyday behavior. And I woke up and I said, I don't deserve this. I never had this in my life before, and I'm not going to tolerate this.
Where were you?
I was in New York, in our apartment in New York. Michael was in upstate New York where he trained. And I think for the first time he detected something different in my voice. I wasn't screaming. I was serious and to the point. And he worried, and that bothered him. And he kept calling. All throughout the night, he would call and wake me up. Do you love me? Are you sure you love me? Finally, it was about 11 o'clock. He called me and said that he loved me and he was going to prove his love and to call back at 11:20. I knew right away what Michael was going to do. It's something that he'd been threatening to do. We had seen that side. I tried to get him to hang on, and I couldn't. I rushed into the room. I told Mom. At 11:15, I called, and the ambulance was on its way. To tell you the truth, they told me he was in a car. It was a great deal of relief.
What had you thought?
I thought that I knew that he had guns, or I knew that he'd been trying to get guns, and I thought that maybe he was going to be a little bit more deliberate.
So that you'd feel sorry?
Yes, yeah. So I was actually relieved. Got in a car and went there, and I was angry. I was very, very angry.
The people watching can't see that as you were talking, Mike, there's no anger. He's rubbing the back of your neck. Why are you doing this interview? What you wanted people to know?
I don't want him to seem like a bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
But there are still problems to work on. What do you say to Robin? What advice do you give to your daughter?
She's gone through a lot of pain. But I do encourage her to hang in there. Because Michael deserves an opportunity. He's basically very good. You know, he told me that he grew up thinking he was bad. So many people have told him he's bad. He is not bad. Not at all.
2 weeks after the car crash, Tyson joined Robin and Ruth on a trip to Moscow, Russia, where Robin was filming for Head of the Class. According to Robin, Tyson's instability escalated during the trip. She accused him of locking himself in a bathroom and taking a large quantity of pills, then emerging in a manic state and chasing her, Ruth, and an assistant through the hotel corridors before dangerously dangling from the balcony. She also alleged that he sexually assaulted her. On the return flight home, Robin asserts that he threatened her life, writing, "Look at me," Michael said. I turned to meet his eyes and was jolted by how empty they seemed. I could kill you and get away with it. People love me. I could kill you and no one would even care. Then he whispered to me in such a sinister way. So that's what I've decided to do. I searched his eyes, trying to tell if he was serious. What? You don't think I can do it? No, I think you could do it, but why would you want to? I tried not to show that I was alarmed, tried not to believe him. Because you make me sick, that's why. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to. I'm not sure that fear best describes what I was feeling. I was hurt and confused because I knew that Michael loved me. He stopped the stewardess in the aisle. "Can you please bring my beautiful wife a glass? She needs some champagne to cheer her up. Besides, we're celebrating." After she left to fetch the glass, he leaned close to whisper in my ear, "Do you know what we're celebrating, honey? My being free from you." When they landed back in the United States, Tyson was scheduled for an interview for ABC's 2020 with Barbara Walters. According to Tyson, Robin was not meant to participate, but after his interview ended, she reportedly approached Barbara to quote-unquote tell her side of the story. It's important to note that according to Robin, she was always meant to participate in the interview. Upon joining Tyson on the couch, Robin publicly revealed for the very first time allegations of abuse, setting the stage for the firestorm that ensued.
What's it been like, this roller coaster?
It's been torture. It's been pure hell. It's been worse than anything I could possibly imagine. I'm not talking about once a week. I'm talking about every day has been some kind of battle, some kind of fight.
With whom?
With managers, with members of family, with just always trying to hold on to your dignity. It's something that I'd never thought I'd endure.
Are the fights with Mike too?
Yes, the fights with him. Well, the fights with him make me wonder why I'm going through the other fights.
Robin, some of the things that we've read, that he's hit you, that he's chased you and your mother around in Russia, that Mike has a very volatile temper. True?
Extremely volatile temper. I think people see that about every 3 months. He's got a side to him that's scary. Michael is intimidating, to say the least. I think that there's a time when he cannot control his temper, and that's frightening to me or to my mother, and to anyone around. It's scary.
What happens?
He gets out of control, throwing, screaming.
Does he hit you?
He shakes, he pushes, he swings. Sometimes I think he's trying to scare me. There were times when it happened when I thought I could handle it, And just recently I've become afraid. I mean, very, very much afraid. For instance, Russia, I was afraid. And my mom and I are in the lobby of a hotel, and I said, "What are we doing?"
What was happening?
He was out of control.
Chasing after you in the lobby?
Yeah, Michael is a manic depressive. He is. I mean, that's just a fact. And when he's in a manic state, he doesn't sleep. He has enormous amounts of energy. So your sleeping agitates him. He gets you up. There's an argument. I mean, of course you want to sleep.
So you run out of the room and he runs after you.
Right.
And people see this, and it's in the paper.
Right.
I wanted to do this interview with the two of you together. I could have talked to Robin outside and you outside, but I wanted you to hear this because I wanted people to understand. And you're sitting here and listening to this.
This is a situation in which I'm dealing with my illness.
With the type of disease that Michael has, he was a hyperactive child. It turned into something else. It's something that he's had for a very long time. It went untreated, therefore it got worse. It's something that the doctor says gets worse in your 20s.
Why do you think this is that nobody saw it before? The Customato didn't see it, the Bill Caton didn't see it.
I can't imagine that anyone could live with Mike Tyson and not recognize that there was a problem. Let me say this. I mean, there are times when Michael is manic and he's incredibly abusive. Not physically, mentally, verbally abusive. I can't imagine that anyone would live with Mike Tyson, the one that I know, the one that I see, and not recognize that there's a problem. There's no possible way. Hitting teachers, hitting girls and pulling them into a bathroom. You cannot just, it's not a bad boy when they occur too often.
So why wasn't it treated?
because I think he did very well in the ring. I think he did exceptionally well in the ring. And the way that they chose to handle it was to keep him in the ring. And I think that that's unfortunate because if this goes untreated, there'll come a time where Michael cannot be in the ring. If he's ever fighting during a depressed period, how will he fight?
Are you afraid that if he takes the medication that keeps him on a steadier keel, so he doesn't have these violent up and down, that maybe he won't fight as well?
Not important. If I don't fight anymore again, if I never fought again, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because the only thing that matters is my healthy and the healthiness of the people I love.
Do you want him to box?
I want to live with Mike Tyson for the rest of my life, and I want to have little Tysons. That's what I want. And that can't happen if Michael doesn't get help.
If he doesn't get help, will you stay?
No.
You know that?
Yes.
But if we left Michael, and I do come with a package, that's how I am, he would be...
We as you and...
My mom, my sister, he would be alone. He would undoubtedly be alone, and I don't want that to happen. It would have gotten so bad that I think maybe one day he would have been more deliberate and killed himself or hurt somebody else. That undoubtedly, unquestionably would have happened.
I guess the other question is, with all of this, why have you hung in there?
Because believe it or not, I love him to death. He loves me so much. It's incredible.
You agree with all this?
It's very difficult. I mean, my wife would give me her opinion, but it's very difficult for me to believe. You know what I mean? Like I said, the illness is there and it has to be taken care of. I see my doctor and we discuss, but you know what I mean? I just want to kind of lay off the medicine because I'm handling myself very well.
So now you're not going to take the medicine for the moment?
Well, not at this point. I'm anti-drugs as it is. I mean, it's totally anti-drugs. I mean, just to take something to make me feel queasy or else just in pain.
What is your greatest fear now, Robin?
Probably that we won't make it. That this would have all been in vain. And I think with Michael, we were on a mission. We were standing up for what we thought was right. It was instinctive, protecting somebody you love. And every day is a battle.
Gonna win this battle?
Yeah. I usually come out on top, and I plan on coming out top again.
The aftermath of the 2020 interview brought swift and overwhelming repercussions for both Robin and Ruth. The broadcast in which Robin described her experience of abuse while sitting beside Tyson became national news and ignited a wave of public scrutiny. In the days that followed, tensions at home erupted. According to Robin, Tyson had a manic episode, causing her and her family to barricade themselves in the laundry room until police arrived. In the official police report, dated October 2nd, 1988, Officer Kevin Valentine writes, at 10:14 hours, dispatcher number 4 received a telephone call from a woman who identified herself as Olga. She indicated that a domestic dispute was taking place at the Tyson residence. Both Sergeant Howell and myself responded to that location. Upon my arrival, Mrs. Givens and Miss Ruth Roper requested we speak to Mr. Tyson to see that he was okay and try to calm him down. Myself and Sergeant Howell met with him at the front door. He seemed calm and was very soft-spoken. He indicated that everything was fine and that he just wanted to be left alone. We returned to the victim and several other residential staff people who were present. I spoke with the victim, who went on to relate that she was afraid of Mr. Tyson and that he caused damage to the kitchen. She then offered to show us the kitchen. In speaking to Mr. Tyson, I explained we just wanted to check on his welfare. I explained that his wife was concerned about him because of the damage to the kitchen. With that, he became angry and indicated he could do whatever he wanted to in his own property. I remained calm and tried to reason with him and tried to explain the domestic violence law as it applied to this situation. He became more agitated and began to yell, saying that he owned the house and everything in it. He said if he wanted to break something, no one could stop him. With that, He then picked up a large brass fireplace ornament and threw it through a glass window next to the front door. He then walked away into an adjoining room. At that time, I was advised that his doctor was on the phone. I then spoke to Dr. Henry McCurtis on the telephone. He indicated that it would be best to separate him from the victim and allow her and her family to leave the house. He also indicated that the victim should apply for an emergency domestic violence hearing and seek an emergency psychiatric examination. I continued my conversation with the victim in the kitchen. I observed broken plates and glasses throughout the kitchen and pantry. After discussion with her mother, the victim was unsure of what to do. I recommended we all go to police headquarters and talk this over. As we were talking, Mr. Tyson came out of the house and confronted all of us. He became angry and said he was leaving. Mr. Tyson told the police to leave his private property. He began yelling, "F you all, F you cops, you are all F'd, even you cops." He then called myself and Sergeant Howell scum, told us to get off my property and F off. He got in his car and drove off. At no time did this officer observe Mr. Tyson strike or threaten anyone. The dispute was a verbal one. After Mr. Tyson left, the victim decided she didn't want to pursue any criminal complaints or sign any papers requesting emergency relief. At 11:04 hours, the victim signed a domestic violence notification form, indicating she did not want any further assistance.
After the interview, though, you stayed with him. After that interview, why did you stay with him?
Well, he had said that he was going to get help. I loved him. I wanted to make it work. I wanted to do anything and everything I could for him. I mean, I was very bonded, and it's hard to be bonded and save yourself at the same time. You just want to fix it, you just want to fix it. I wanted to not let him down. I was going to be there for him, and it's hard to do that and save yourself.
He seemed very contrite, he was sitting there quietly like a little lamb. And then what happened right after the interview?
I think it was Barbara's birthday.
Uh-huh.
We had a birthday cake, and Barbara didn't come out with us to dinner, but we all went to dinner. Everything, was okay.
Just the two of you?
No, it was a bunch of us.
Bunch of
family.
And how was he acting there?
Fine.
He didn't say to you, how dare you do that?
Right, no. And then his friends started commenting on it, and,
Oh,
man, okay, commenting on it, and then he was upset then.
He was upset that night. Did he hit you?
No, not that night, a couple of days later.
Mm-hmm. So he was ruminating for the couple of days.
Yeah, I think his friends, everybody, you're young, he wanted to be cool and a man and macho, and man, he made you look like whatever.
Yeah, and then what happened on Saturday?
And then I think he was on the roof one morning, and somebody came that lived in the house and said, "You've got to get him off the roof." And he was throwing plates. And
throwing plates off the roof?
Things that became not off the roof. Once I got him downstairs and back in the house and throwing things. And we all ended up, a few of us, myself, my mom was there, my sister, somebody else, we all ended up in a laundry room off the kitchen with our two little Rottweiler puppies. And my sister, who for me is like right from heaven, was crying, hysterically crying. And I remember her looking up, and there was a certain quiet in her eyes, and she said, "How long are you going to put us all through this?"
So she saw something that you didn't.
By the time news of this incident hit the papers, Robin had already left New Jersey for California, where she filed for divorce on October 7th, 1988. Instead of drawing sympathy, her decision set off a new round of backlash. Media coverage focused intensely on her choice to file in California, where community property laws made any division of Tyson's wealth potentially more favorable to her. In a written declaration filed with her divorce petition, Robin included allegations of beatings and threats by Tyson. Quote, "My husband has been violent and physically abusive and prone to unprovoked rages of violence and destruction. I was awakened by Michael's hitting about my body and my head with his closed fist and open hand. Michael appeared by his actions and by his breath to be intoxicated, and I discovered that he had been drinking champagne early in the morning. I was frightened for my life and terrorized. Despite the seriousness of Robin's abuse allegations, public empathy was scarce. The revelation of her attempt to transfer $581,000 from Tyson's account into her production company quickly shifted the narrative. Branded a gold digger by the media and public alike, Robin's story was reduced to suspicion and scandal, leaving her voice lost beneath headlines that overshadowed both her claims and the brief, stormy marriage itself.
I believe she's a gold digger, as they've said all along.
That was far and away the majority opinion tonight among some 25 people I interviewed at South Miami's Sports Rock Cafe. The majority, of course, doesn't make the opinion valid, but it may say something about media's ability, inadvertent as it may be, to form public images.
It's obvious that she married him for his money, and now she's filing for divorce, and she's going to collect.
We met only two people who sympathized with Robin Gibbons.
If it's true that he is abusing her, yes, they are, because no one should have to put up with that.
If Mike Tyson is totally not the perfect husband, so therefore she should file for divorce.
Mike Tyson as a boxer may be the most ferocious heavyweight of modern times, but he is still barely beyond a teenager. His age and inexperience was considered by many we talked with.
Thinking about being 22, you're just learning about yourself at that age, and it's hard to deal with all that press and all that, it's got to be tough.
Psychiatrist Dr. Edmund Kava hasn't followed the Tyson-Gibbons soap opera closely, but he noted tonight a trend he sees in our society that may be applicable.
Our country has become increasingly obsessed with accumulation of wealth, and that it's become an overriding drive, an overriding direction for a large part of our population. And it's even become an important, perhaps one of the most important factors in the pursuit of a mate. Not so much what kind of rapport, what kind of personal gratification is going to come from this, but what kind of material indulgences, what kind of security am I linking up?
Upon being labeled a gold digger, Robin surprisingly turned to her harshest critics once more, this time in a tearful, apologetic television interview. She expressed regret for how her words had affected Tyson and apologized specifically for describing him as manic-depressive and for stating that living with him was hell. As news stories and public opinion increasingly questioned her motives, Robin issued a clear statement that she would neither seek nor accept any financial settlement as part of the divorce. Quote, "I unequivocally and irrevocably state as follows. 1. Michael can have his divorce. 2. I will not seek nor accept any money for myself. I never married Michael for money. Therefore, this represents no loss for me other than the loss of losing my husband and the effect this whole situation has had on both our lives. I wish him well."
Tonight, a move that could keep one of the most talked about divorce cases out of the courts. Robin Gibbons threw a surprise counterpunch today and said she wanted to settle this one out of the ring. Channel 2's Randall Pinkston reports on a heavyweight decision.
If the Robin Gibbons-Mike Tyson story were a soap opera, it might beat the competition. A saga with more twists and turns than a Hollywood script. And now, the biggest twist of all.
Many people may be surprised about what they are now going to hear.
The bombshell announced by Gibbons' celebrity divorce attorney Raoul Felder was more than a surprise. It was a shock. Felder read a letter dictated by Gibbons from her California residence, claiming her only concern was her husband's welfare, not his bank account, denying cynics who saw raw greed in her nationally televised criticism of her husband, quickly followed by a divorce suit in California, a community property state which could have provided Gibbons' claim to half of Tyson's wealth, estimated at $20 to $40 million. John Trumpador, who had filed a divorce action for Tyson in New Jersey, told Channel 2 News they would take Gibbons at her word. Trumpador described the surprising turnabout as a victory for Tyson, a knockout punch. Skeptical reporters probed Gibbons' attorney on why she would back away from a seemingly surefire cash settlement.
In America, they said, put your money where your mouth is. This 23-year-old girl put $10 million where her mouth is. She doesn't have to convince anybody.
Not long after Robin publicly declared she would not seek a financial settlement from Tyson, she reversed course, filing a $125 million lawsuit for libel and defamation in response to his remarks about her in the press. On November 7, 1988, Tyson told the New York Post, quote, "Robin's got no respect for me or anyone else. I gave her love, and then she stabbed me in the back. And she stole money from me. Stole from me, and she said I beat her up. Robin and Ruth are the slime of the slime, and anyone associated with them is slime. The nature of those two women is to be mean and vindictive. They tried to turn me into an imbecile. They got enough already from me.
A few weeks ago, actress Robin Givens claimed she wanted no money from her estranged husband, Mike Tyson, in their bitter divorce fight. Yesterday, she delivered a $125 million right jab in the form of a libel suit. She claims Tyson ruined her good name by calling her the slime of the slime. Tyson is fighting back, and we have the inside story. The libel suit stems from a November 7th article in the New York Post. In addition to the slime of the slime quote, it also refers to several other statements, including one by Tyson in which he says Givens stole from him and tried to turn him into an imbecile. Legal papers filed by Givens' attorneys say those statements were damaging to her reputation and career.
Well, you'd think this guy had the best deal in the world. He had a wife who wanted no money, and he just sort of signed the dotted line and be finished. But I believe that he just doesn't want to end it, and it seems to go on and on. There's one nonsensical thing after another, and we just can't terminate with this fellow.
This lawsuit is another offensive maneuver and a vicious maneuver, in my opinion. What Mike said in that article, he said because he believed it to be true.
The war of words erupted after the now legendary interview with the couple by Barbara Walters on ABC's 2020. Tyson was reportedly enraged at Givens' comments in which she said his fiery temper was at the root of their marital problems. Givens later renounced any intention to sue for money as part of a divorce settlement, but she's still sensitive to accusations that she's out to get the champ's fortune.
Every dime after expenses will go to charities. As a matter of fact, this morning, Robin and I spoke about various charities. We haven't agreed on where it's going to go. And so I think we're going to distribute some of Mr. Tyson's wealth to more needy people at any rate.
Givens' lawyer also told us that he and Tyson's lawyer were on track toward reaching a settlement in the divorce case. He says he sees no reason why the libel suit should derail the divorce talks. In an unrelated development, we've learned that Givens will take a short hiatus from her ABC series Head of the Class to star in The Penthouse. It's a made-for-television movie.
Robin's suit against Tyson was later dropped, but it deeply heightened the legal and personal conflict between them. The marriage, lasting less than a year, was legally dissolved on Valentine's Day 1989, quietly concluding one of the most highly scrutinized unions of its era. The question of Tyson's mental health, which had been raised during the couple's tumultuous final months, lingered after the divorce. Although Tyson was initially diagnosed as manic depressive by a psychiatrist referred to him by Robin and Ruth, a subsequent evaluation arranged by Tyson's former manager, Bill Caton, found no evidence of manic depression. The original doctor eventually rescinded the initial diagnosis, telling Tyson's new psychiatrist that he had, quote, never diagnosed Tyson as manic depressive. Torres writes, McCurtis may have denied diagnosing Tyson, but that's not the impression he left. When I called Dr. Halpern, he told me Dr. McCurtis had said that, rather than manic depression, Mike was suffering from an ailment called atypical pugilistic disorder, and that he had mood regulatory problems. Dr. Halpern had never heard of this disorder. In the years that followed, the brief marriage of Mike Tyson and Robin Givens remained a reference point in debates about celebrity, abuse, mental health, and the impact of relentless media scrutiny. Both will go on to speak about their experience in interviews and memoirs, but the complete truth behind their story remained, for many, as complex and contested as ever.
Just basically after going through all the turmoil, I'm just realized I'm happy with myself and I don't need a psychiatrist. There's nothing wrong with me, you know what I mean? I'm just feeling totally magnificent.
As a celebrity, you live in a fishbowl. You're one of the most famous people in the world, certainly one of the most famous athletes in the world. And I think you can deal with the fact that people are going to write stuff from time to time, stuff that you may not agree with or even like. But ridicule is something else. We're going to take a look at some cartoons. This one from the cover of the National Lampoon. And, of course, there's Robin in the background, you in the foreground with tears in your eyes. And then we could take a look at some of the other things. And it ceases to be just fun it starts to become almost mean-spirited, almost, in some cases, racist, I feel. How do you deal with ridicule, Mike?
Well, I look at some of these things, and I think people are really doing this because they believe this is their job, and they try to do it the best they possibly can. Like you say, some people are vindictive.
I look at that one. That one is particularly nasty. It has you effectively murdering your wife, your ex-wife.
Yeah, man, that's... What can I say? It's embarrassing to me also. And as you know, Robin's a beautiful woman, and they have her looking like a He-Man here.
Well, they have you and Robin as one, I guess, in this picture. Do you shed tears? Is it painful for you? This kind of stuff?
I'm gonna tell you something, Marino. I'm cried out, man. I cried so many times, and I can't cry anymore. Believe me, I'm so cried out.
Is that from the pressure, the anxieties that the press causes, that you have caused yourself at times? I mean, in terms of the way your life has gone?
Say that. It's just that I believe Robin has put just a tremendous amount of pressure on me. I mean, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just that kind of person, and I'm just a solid individual, more solid than I know, and that's what I learned a lot about myself during this time period. I mean, how much of a solid person I am. And I don't even know it. It's just there, you know. Even when I want to give up, my self-reliance, you know what I mean, self-consciously won't allow me to.